Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein. Appreciate you tuning in here on a rainy Tuesday in Dallas-Fort Worth. And it is the offseason, so all things are kind of quiet around the Mavericks right now. The first major event of the offseason coming next Monday with the NBA lottery. And the Mavericks do have a new representative that's going to be there at the lottery, hopefully bringing us some luck. And we'll tell you who that is at the end of today's show. But I do want to talk about Anthony Davis and Rich Paul, his agent, obviously, of Klutch Sports. And if you know anything about the NBA, you know that Rich Paul is one of the major power brokers here in the NBA. And he had some interesting things to say regarding the Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic swap that was made on February 1st. And he doesn't think that Anthony Davis is playing with much pressure in Dallas. So let's hop right in to what Rich Paul said. I believe this was on Chris Haynes' show, by the way. He said, the pressure is not on the players, it's the race of the front offices. As much as you want to lean on how great an individual was or is, you also have to factor in the decision makers to put the best pieces around them. And while I do agree with some of what Rich Paul is saying here, I think it's a two-part equation. I think, yeah, it's true that the pressure is on the decision makers, but it also certainly is on Anthony Davis. And I think especially from a fan perspective, Anthony Davis is under immense pressure to deliver for the Mavericks here. Luka Doncic got the Mavs to a conference finals and a finals in 2 out of 3 seasons. If Anthony Davis doesn't at minimum replicate that or exceed those measurables that Luka put forth, then I think this whole thing was pretty much obviously a failure. And maybe it's unfair to Anthony Davis, but I think he has to way exceed those in order to make the trade worthwhile. So I do think AD is under pressure, not only from the fans. I think he feels it from the front office as well. But not only is AD under pressure, this front office is probably under the most pressure in the NBA going into next season. If it doesn't work out and the Mavericks have another disaster of a season, Nico Harrison gets fired. Jason Kidd probably gets fired. Anyone around Nico Harrison and his circle or whatever in the front office, they're probably gone too. Like I said, I think this front office is under immense pressure to get the job done this season. So I think the Mavericks have a lot of work to do this offseason in order to put them in a position to be back at the top of the Western Conference once again. And everyone in Dallas is auditioning for their jobs next season. Whether it's Anthony Davis, whether it's Jason Kidd, whether it's Nico Harrison, whether it's the athletic training staff, whether it's the analytics department, I think everyone involved with the Dallas Mavericks basketball operations is auditioning for their job. Their jobs were put on the line by Nico Harrison on February 1st, and now they have immense pressure to deliver and deliver immediately. That's not to say Anthony Davis can't do it. In his 9 games with the Mavericks this season, 20 points, 10 boards, 46% from the field. The three-point numbers have to be cranked up a little bit, but he also was decent in the playmaking aspect, averaging 4.5 assists. And over 2 blocks, and he was very effective on the defensive end, which is what the Mavericks are hoping out for him. Now, these numbers aren't elite, but when you look at his last 4 years, and this was prior to the trade, his last 4 seasons with the Lakers, the numbers really pop out to you. Though that 22-23 season where he averaged 26 points, 12.5 rebounds, 56% from the field, those are the type of numbers that you're going to be looking at from Anthony Davis. I think you need to get that. You need to get 19-20 Anthony Davis when the Lakers won the championship. You need that guy to show up. And also, you need him healthy as well. You need 28-13 Anthony Davis that shoots 57% from the field, that can shoot 30+% from 3, that gets to the free throw line at an elite level, that's playing at a defensive player of the year clip on that end as well. He's blocking 2+ shots a game. He's affecting everything. He's affecting the game on both ends of the floor. That's what the Mavericks want from AD, and he is going to have to deliver that in order for the Mavs to get anywhere close to an NBA title. Here's what the healthy rotation is going to look like around Anthony Davis next season. Not much wiggle room. The asterisks there are guys who are free agents. I took Spencer Dinwiddie out of this because I don't think he's going to be returning. In January, you'll get Kyrie Irving back, allegedly. That's the earliest he can be back. I would say probably more February. You surround him with the shooting of Klay Thompson, the defensive versatility and playmaking of PJ Washington, which I think is underrated, alongside Derek Lively at the 5. And hopefully this is a team that can get you 50-plus wins and get you in to the NBA playoffs. Again, a lot of things have to go right for this team in order to make it work. And we'll talk about that here on the second half of today's show. But I want to ask you this, guys. This will be our poll question on today's show. Will Anthony Davis make the All-Star team next season? If you think he will, type Y for yes. If you think he won't, type N for no. Again, that's based on him being healthy. And if he's not healthy, he won't make the All-Star team. So factor that into your decision as well. In just a couple seconds, I'm going to tell you guys about our sponsor. While I'm doing that, go on down there and get your votes. And will AD be an All-Star in 25-26? And with that, a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks has over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, making daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And you can also turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series. Every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes 2 ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP trip to the ship. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that could lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday, PrizePicks will discount select player projections to provide even more value for your lineups. And here's the lineup I placed for the second round basketball playoffs between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. I took the more on Jalen Brunson, 27.5 points per game average. I took the more on Kristaps Porzingis, 18.5 points per game average. And I took the less on Mikal Bridges, 14.5. Bridges had 8, so we're good there. Brunson had 29, so we're sitting pretty good there as well. And then Kristaps Porzingis in game 1, 0. So we need some more from KP there. But you can copy my picks, or you can make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it with our friends over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. Again, download the app and use code CLNS to get that $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. Shout out to PrizePicks. Run your game. I've said this basically since the trade. I fully believe that there are unfair expectations on Anthony Davis. And those come from me as well. I'm looking at the whole AD thing, trying to compare him to Luka, because AD is now our best player, and he's the guy that's going to have to carry this team into the future. And I think he needs to have a career year in order for the Mavericks to be contenders. And I just don't know if it's feasible that Davis has a career season. When you look at the amount of games that he's missed over the last 5 years, 36, and that was half the season because that was in the 71-72 game season. Missed half the season in 21-22. Missed a big chunk in 22-23. Played in 76 games in 23-24. And then last year, he missed 31 games as well. So you have to account for Anthony Davis, and this is on the conservative side. Let's call it at least 20 games you have to account for AD missing. And if he's going to miss at least 20 games, is this team going to be a top 4, a top 5 team in the Western Conference? I just don't see it happening. If you play 76 games like he did in 23-24, then yeah, there's a small chance. But there's a small chance if everything goes perfect. And when you look at his contract, making $54 million this year, 58.5 in 26-27, and then you have that gaudy player option in 27-28 of 62.7, it is almost impossible that Anthony Davis is going to live up to how much he is making on this contract. It was a 3-year, $175 million extension. I would be shocked if AD was able to live this up. And like I said, I just don't see a scenario where AD brings this team back into true title contention. I want to be wrong about this, guys. I would love for the Mavericks to be playing this time of year next year. I just don't see it happening given everything that has to go right for this team in the offseason and throughout the first part of next season in order to set themselves up for success. Here's what has to happen in order for them to have a small chance. Overall team health. You need Kyrie Irving to come back in at least January. You need Anthony Davis to play at least 70 games, which is damn near impossible. You need to hit on your first round pick. By the way, the lottery, like I said, on Monday, we'll see exactly where the Mavericks are picking there. You need to make the right moves in free agency. Now, those moves are going to be on the fringes because the Mavericks are up very close to the first apron and don't have many open roster spots. You need to have early season success. Like, you need to win a bunch of games in the months of November and December in order to set yourselves up for a solid second half of the season. And you need Anthony Davis to return to an all-NBA form. If all of those things happen, you have a small chance. You have a minuscule chance of getting to the top to contend with teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, like the Golden State Warriors, like the Houston Rockets. Then you have up-and-coming teams like the San Antonio Spurs. You have teams who are going to have high draft picks this year that are going to improve as well. The Mavericks are in a really tough spot right now, but it starts with Anthony Davis. If he can get back to form, then the rest of it has a chance to fall into place. Predicted for me. I know it's super early and we don't know what this team's roster is going to look like next year, but what seed will the Mavericks finish with next year? Do you think they'll be a top 5 seed? Do you think they'll be in the lottery once again? Let me know down in the comment section. And to finish today's show, I would say this is a bit of good news here, as Rolando Blackman, Mavs legend, will rep the Mavericks at the NBA lottery next Monday. As you all know, as I've said repeatedly on the show, the Mavericks have not ever moved up in the NBA draft lottery. Hopefully, Rolando Blackman, one of this team's franchise's greatest ever players. He's also in the Mavericks front office right now doing a bunch of community stuff. He's been around the Mavs pretty much since day one in 1979. So hopefully Rolando can bring us some good luck here at the lottery next Monday, and may the ping pong balls fall in our favor. Bring us some good luck, bro. If you want Rolando Blackman to bring the Mavs some good luck in the lottery next Monday, type those 22s down in the comment section. That is going to be it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. Of course, if anything happens regarding the Mavs, we will have you covered here on the channel. So stay locked in, and we'll see you soon.